UPI is not going to be free anymore. There are charges that are going to be levied very soon. But the question is, who should be paying for these charges? The merchants, the consumers, or the government? Or is this a cost of digital public infrastructure and digital infrastructure expanding? Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh, and in today's session we are going to understand that why charges are being levied on UPI transaction, why this bill that has been passed in Lok Sabha is important, what is MDR, why it is being put in picture now up and until it was zero, and most importantly, what changes this for us in terms of UPI transaction. So when we are looking at this particular bill, we have to understand that what is this bill. So this bill is Taxation and Other Laws Amendment Bill, and as of now, this bill has been passed in Lok Sabha. Now why this bill has been brought? This bill has been brought to amend the Payment and Settlement Acts of 2007. So as of now, before this passage of bill, what was the situation? That there was a legal restriction that was placed on banks and also payment service providers that they cannot charge any MDR, especially on UPI or notified electronic payment modes that exist. Now, because of this amendment bill and the change that it will cause in this act, that legal restriction will be gone. That means bank, payment providers can charge MDR, that is merchant discount rate. Now this is the change that can allow the government to permit MDR in coming time. Now you must be thinking that how does this levy charges on UPI? Wait, I'll explain. But as of now, the government has not announced any merchant discount rate. Government might, there is a process associated with it in future, because now we have the changes made to the act. In coming time, using this act, government can give a notification and bring MDR into picture. But before we discuss more of MDR, let us start with understanding what exactly is merchant discount rate. Merchant discount rate, you have to understand that it is a fee which is associated with processing a digital payment. Let me explain it simply to you. Let's just say you purchase something of worth 10,000 from a shop. Now you decided you did not want to pay by cash and you want to use your UPI or you want to pay it through debit card. Now once you have swiped the card, the deduction of 10,000 rupees will be done. But because the merchant is using a digital payment and that is being processed, certain charge will be taken from that merchant. Now how will that charge be taken? Consumer will pay 10,000 only. But let's just say that the charge is 1% MDR. So when the payment will come to the merchant, it will be 1% deducted from that 10,000. So 1% of 10,000 is 100. So 100 rupees will be deducted and the amount that will be reaching the merchant will be 9,900 only. Now you have understood the math behind it. Let us understand the process also very quickly. So when we are looking at the payment, let's just say this is the shopkeeper and the payment has to go from the customer. So once the customer makes the payment, it goes to the payment network, they process the transaction, then it passes on to the bank or payment service provider where they levy the applicable charge and the payment is given to the shopkeeper or the merchant after the applicable charges have been deducted. Now when we are talking about the applicable charges, are there any charges present in this scenario? Yes, there are present. If we are looking at MDR, especially related to debit cards, the charge is 0.90%. So that means if 100 rupees is being paid, then 90 paisa will be MDR. Now the question is, if MDR exists in the framework, then why is such a hoo-ha in terms of UPI transaction? Because the number I am talking about here is for debit cards. Up to this value of transaction, it is taken, but there was zero MDR framework to promote digital payment methods since 2020. So UPI transactions that you were doing, they were not costing you anything extra and they were not costing anything the merchant extra. So this helped the spread of UPI to the small businesses, small shopkeepers, small owners, and probably government feels now that the spread is great and enough, there should be levy of charges. Because as of now, that transaction charge, that charge was paid by the government to the service providers. We were not responsible for it. And that is why it has caused so much of conversation. Because when we are looking at zero MDR framework, it was just a means to push India, to help India transition towards digital payments. If there would have been charges, then probably customers might not have been interested, merchants might not have been interested, they might prefer cash or other mediums of payment. And that is why this specific zero cost framework for UPI and RuPay debit card transactions was introduced in 2020. And to introduce this was also done through amendments. Amendment was made to section 10A of the Payment and Settlement System Act, which is being changed through the new bill again, and section 269 SU of Income Tax Act of 1961 was also changed. And as a result, we are seeing that if we compare 2020 to 2004 data, then 5x payments, merchant payments, they have increased. So as of now, what is the charge that we are looking? As of now, nothing has been announced. So as of now, nothing has to be paid by consumer or the merchant. The expected charge, once the governments announce, can be 0.30%. That means on 100 rupees, the merchant might have to pay 30 paisa. But there's another twist to it. The twist is when we are looking at the UPI payment, all the UPI payments will not have this 0.30% of payment that is expected. The amendment which is coming, it is only allowing that the MDR which was prohibited, that prohibition is taken away. There has been no mention. As of now, this Lok Sabha bill only gives government the flexibility that MDR can come anytime through notification. But what we are seeing that government will be probably mindful of where and when to introduce it and on whom to introduce it. Otherwise, the numbers that we are seeing here, they can be very easily reversed. 30 paisa on 100 rupees is something that can amount a lot if you are doing regular payments, and that is why government might be setting this in a phased manner. For example, small merchants, they might not be given MDR. That means they might not have to pay MDR. Transactions below 2000, they might be accepted, but MDR might be charged on large merchants and transaction above 2000. So there is a specific category that government might target. So if you are a merchant in this category, then you might have to pay charges. But do you think that if you are a consumer, you might not have to pay? Then you are thinking wrong. Because if merchants have to pay, that you have to understand, even though MDR is a merchant size charge, this is something merchant might want to pass on the consumer. The usual calculation, as I mentioned, let's just say you are paying 5,000, so your deduction would be 5,000 only. The MDR by merchant will be 15 rupees, so merchant will get only this amount. What if merchant says, I do not want it through UPI, I will not use debit card? Then you have to pay cash. If you do not have to pay cash, the merchant says, okay, what you do is you add 15 rupees to it. That is a possibility. And these are the possibilities which are worrying, that the foundation that we have supposedly laid in terms of digital payments, that might be reversed. It might have an impact because merchants will in one way or the other pass on that increase, that charge onto you. So what are your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comment section. We would also like to understand here another very important point. Now let us understand that what this will do to the whole payment ecosystem, because this is a big change. For past 6 years, there was a certain clear expectation that UPI does not attract any charges. That is going to change, and that expectation was a clear fundamental basis of India's digital payment ecosystem. Now that is changing. So what does change for all the stakeholders? For government, they are in a better position because they have the flexibility now. The restriction has gone. they can design the payment system. It is expected that it will lower the dependence of government compensation that government has to pay under zero MDR to the payment providers. So government's burden will be reduced, and this will also bring certain sort of categorization, classification in terms of small merchants and large merchants. And do you think that this can also be used in one way or the other for more formalization in the economy? Let me know in the comment section. Apart from that, but when we are looking at the main stakeholders of the implementation of this digital payment ecosystem, that is banks and NPCI, National Payments Corporation of India, in this context, this is a new revenue stream. That means banks can charge, NPCI can charge. Whatever might be the amount, that will be added to their revenue stream. And this is where they would want to make their money back that they have spent it in developing the payment infrastructure. So this is the ability they might get to recover the costs. Furthermore, it will also definitely support the investment in technology, cyber security, very much important these days, and fraud prevention as well. But we have to talk about other stakeholders as well, such as large merchants, because this is where additional transaction cost is most probably going to be introduced. And let us also worry about the consumers, because this will be passed there. They might face an indirect cost. As of now, small merchants are expected to remain exempted, but the final government notification will only let us know the details. Let me know in the comment section that what are your thoughts about this. Second, what do you think should be the actual charge that should be levied, or what should be the way forward once the exemption has been removed? Now I'll be leaving you here with a prelims practice question. Let me know the answer to this in the comment section. MDR question has previously appeared in prelims, thus making this concept much more important. So let me know the answer to this in the comment section. That was all from my side. Thank you so much.